when it goes into the applicant tracking system. I'm going to touch on our applicant tracking system because it's one that's widely used, and talk about how it works and what recruiters do inside the ATS. We're going to touch on how to get in touch with your local HR teams when you are looking for a job, as far as taking things to another level. And we're going to talk about social media. So let's, hold on. I think it's really interesting to give you sort of an employer's perspective as it relates to hiring. So CHI, which is a company called Catholic Health Initiatives, and Dignity Health aligned in February of 2019. So we now have over 159,000 employees across the United States. As a talent acquisition team this last year, we've really been working on standardizing our processes, technology, our practice. With this alignment, it's really expanded our footprint. We went from 3 states, Dignity Health was in California, Arizona, and Nevada, to 22 states. So we are really sprinkled across the United States. Our hospitals will remain Dignity Health and CHI, or Catholic Health Initiatives, but our corporate function, really think of that as our shared services, right? Our marketing, our talent acquisition team, our finance, our information technology, those folks are going to be Common Spirit Health employees. We have around 215 employees in TA that support over 139 hospitals. So think about that. That's not a lot. Each requisition, each recruiter carries a rec load of anywhere from 40 to 120 requisitions at one time. And when we're in the process of moving we're in the process of moving to one applicant tracking system. When we aligned, we had ISOMs, Dignity had ISOMs, CHI had Taleo. So we are in the process, like this week is go live for the rest of our CHI friends. They're actually moving into the ISOMs platform. Our team last year reviewed around our team of 215 reviewed over 1 million resumes, and we hired 34,000 people last year. Oops, I did not, can you make that go back, Sheila? Did I don't know how to do that. Oh, I can. Okay, here we go. Here's a snapshot of our footprint. Right now, we have 2 career portals. This week is our go live week, so we still essentially have 2 career portals. We're integrating our applicant tracking systems as we speak. In the next 6 to 9 months, we're actually gonna have 1 career portal for our whole org. One of the cool things about being part of a large organization is understanding how many patients we impact. It also allows our employees to really be mobile, right? So I wanted to touch on what our team does to attract talent. When we think about attraction, we're very mindful of the candidate experience, and it can come in many different forms. Today, I'm going to be giving you some examples that are probably obvious and some ideas that you may not be aware of. I'm hoping by sharing some of our attraction strategies, it may spark some ideas on how to find and engage with actual employers. So I think the first 4 on my list are pretty obvious. We spend money in the digital space like Indeed or Google. So our jobs show up when you start typing in keywords. An example would be if you were in Google, you could type in nursing jobs in Arizona, right? Another obvious resource for us is to post our positions on our career portal. So if you have an employer that you're targeting, the best place to find their jobs is on their own career portal, okay? As a TA leader, we have a pot of money that we can spend on digital advertising. Not everything gets sponsored. So if you're relying on Google or Indeed, you could really be doing yourself a disservice. But if you monitor the employer's career site, you will never miss a job. We also allocate budget to social media. But we don't just post jobs. Social is a space for us to tell our story. What is it like to work at our organization? Featuring our leaders, things that our employees are doing in our communities. We use it to showcase our hard to fill positions, but that's really secondary to actual storytelling. We tell our employment brand story on social so people can relate and want to align to our mission. Lots of our organizations are using talent pools. Lots of organizations are using talent pools, or what we call talent communities, to allow passive job seekers to say, hey, I want to connect, but I'm not ready to apply quite yet. This is where the strategy really begins. It allows prospects to move through our funnel, but not yet apply. We as an organization, we nurture these leads with emails, text messages, phone calls. Really the key to talent communities is consistency. Many organizations really deploy this strategy. We push out messages pretty much monthly to keep people informed about company happenings, and then jobs, of course. Our talent acquisition team is very active on LinkedIn. And with our passive job seekers, really building relationships for positions that may be future, right? We know something's coming down the pike. We don't want to be so reactionary that we can't be proactive from a recruitment perspective. Our teams are using Boolean search to identify subject matter experts in the field to really grow our ecosystem of candidates. We attend local and national conferences to really feature our organization and meet people in person. I'm not doing that right now, but it is strategy that we've done in the past. Sometimes at those events, we actually send hiring managers in addition to the TA team to those conferences so they can meet and talk with people that they would potentially report to. I'm sure you're aware, we use LinkedIn and job boards to feature our roles. So we have a lot of our jobs posted on LinkedIn. And when we look at our attract strategy, to me, it's like a puzzle. When I think about the candidate experience and how it relates to a job search, is the moral of the story is you need to deploy more than one strategy to be successful, okay? You cannot just rely on job boards and sending in applications to make those connections. So what is an applicant tracking system? Sometimes we refer to it as an ATS, but it's a software application. It enables us to handle our recruitment and our hiring needs. In many cases, it filters applications for us. It stores our job descriptions. It allows us to work very collaboratively with our hiring managers and our candidates. Functionally, the ATS allows us to document our process. It allows us to be compliant, and it allows for some very advanced reporting. When you apply, your application follows what's called a workflow. It's how we move people from new to interview to hired to potentially rejected. We pull data out of our ATS to tweak our strategy. Where did the candidates come from? Are we attracting the competition? Why are people declining our offers? The ATS is really the foundation of our talent acquisition team. So I feel like somebody's going to ask this question, so I'm just going to throw this out. Do we have a robot screening applications? I know that's going to come out, right? And the answer is Dignity Health does not, but some organizations do. And so I want to give you some hints today on how to navigate an ATS from a job seeker perspective to put you in a better position. There is what's called AI technology, artificial intelligence, that is looking at the front end of an ATS that's making determinations of if a candidate will advance through the workflow. So be mindful of that. I'm going to touch on a lot of ways to sort of trick those things, or maybe not trick them, but be smarter about it. Okay, so let's start where most job seekers begin their job search, google.com, right? Very normal for us to probably start there. Google is the king, right? The beautiful thing about Google is you're going to type in keywords and Google does a lot of the work for you. So the thing you have to be very mindful of is those keywords, right? My advice is if you know a great employer who you want to work for, integrate that into your keyword search. Just don't put job titles. You can put employers as well. One thing I want you to be aware of when you type in keywords, employers like us are paying to be visible to you. That's that digital strategy that we talked about earlier. If you're in Google, when you actually do the search, so I gave you an example here of RN jobs in Arizona. Google for jobs is always going to show up first. That's this right here. This is Google for jobs. And then below that is going to be your Indeed, your ZipRecruiters. So what happens when I actually go into Indeed? When I go into Indeed, I get dumped into an automatically populated search. And what it did was it took that search from Google and it populated it into Indeed automatically for me. When you pull down, you can actually see the different variations of title. I want you to be really mindful of that as we move through this process, right? So this is where you can start to research the different job titles. And you're going to notice I popped in RN, but look at what other words came up. Nurse, registered nurse. Those are different results that are coming back in my results. So just remember, you may say nurse, but when Dignity Health posts a job, we could post the job and say RN, right? And so you're going to get different results with these different job titles. If you're in sales, you could say executive, but maybe I call it a sales manager. Keywords are very vital and can really make or break your job search. So my advice is to really vary your keywords, right? Inside Indeed or Zip, they allow you to save searches. Think of these as little robots that search Indeed or Zip every day for you, using those keywords to locate positions for you. And you have the ability to leverage multiple search agents through this process. The cool thing is those little robots send you an email saying, hey, check out this job. And it's all automated. So wherever you can try to automate your job search, you absolutely should. Okay, so let's say you found your dream job, you're ready to apply. This is when that applicant tracking system comes into play, right? When you apply, most ATSs will ask you for a resume. They'll ask you to upload it. And the nice thing is, if you upload your resume, the system will parse your resume into the system, right? Basically, it takes your resume and it starts putting it into the appropriate places. Your phone number, your email address, your work experience, your education, right? But what I will tell you is this is a lovely feature of the applicant tracking system, but it is not always 100% accurate. So trust but verify when you are uploading your resume. You want to check for accuracy. A lot of times what happens in our ATS is sometimes it'll reverse the order. So to a recruiter, when they go and they look at that experience tab, it'll show the reverse order. So maybe you're a 5-year ED nurse, but the first job it's showing is you as a nurse extern. And so that could potentially cause you problems for you later, right? So trust but verify when you are uploading your resume. Make sure it's in the correct order. Make sure the information carried over properly. Some ATSs will take a Word doc and convert it to a text file. So you know all that work that you put in and making all the bolds, the italicites, the bullets, right? Sometimes ATSs will take them, they'll strip the file, they'll put it into a text file so that everybody's resume looks the same. Ours does not do that, but some do. I'm giving you a heads up on things that are happening on those ATSs. As far as advice on formatting resumes, keep them simple, guys. You don't need to go crazy with fonts. Try to use Arial or Times New Roman. Those are really widely accepted within those applicant tracking systems. I try uploading a PDF simply because when you're formatting or when you're uploading, they can't tweak your resume, right? And before you hit that submit button, make sure you've incorporated those different keywords, right? If you applied to, I always use the RN job as an example. If you apply to an RN, make sure you have RN in your resume, right? If it's a nurse, make sure the word nurse is somewhere in there. That's going to be really important as you navigate through. Okay, so most ATSs, this is an example of our applicant tracking system, have advanced search features and functionalities for job seekers. So I'm showing you really from a candidate perspective. These filters will allow you to narrow down by career interest, location, SIP, shifts, if that's a possibility. And this is, like I said, this is just an example of what we have, right? You have the ability to search using keywords, so you can put your keywords in here, but then you can also apply these filters as well. And my advice is, if these filters are available to you, definitely drill down on them. But you also may want to do a search all jobs, just to see what is open across the enterprise, and then maybe use some of these filters to drill down on location. What if something was misfiled for some reason? Like this happens on our team sometimes, where we'll have a position and it's a surgical services position and it's put under a general RN position. So what I'm saying, again, remember, there's not one way to do it. You want to search different ways because you're going to get different results. Okay, oh, I did it again. Hold on, I pushed it. All right, so most ATSs allow you to set up job alerts, just like Indeed or Zip. These alerts really allow the system to notify you when new jobs become available on the portal. Remember, automate your job search wherever you can, okay? So this is an example We use talent pools. So I refer to them as talent communities, talent pools, however you want to call them. But this is where we attract that passive job seeker. Most employers integrate talent pools or talent communities with their applicant tracking system. I would highly recommend engaging with them. Basically allows passive job seekers to say, hey, I'm interested, but I'm not quite ready to apply. Or sometimes we find that people are saying, hey, I'm interested and I want to apply. We ask for super basic information, name, email, phone, title, and then if you want to, you have the ability to upload your resume. In these talent pools, you can see it gives you a little description of the types of positions that we hire for. And then what we do with this information, oops, hang on, is when you land in your talent pool, it's sort of like landing on a requisition, really. We call this what's called the source workflow, right? So we have 1,000 people that have said we're interested in executive leadership. We could really kind of consider these more warm leads. Because these are people who are saying, hey, I'm interested in learning more about executive leadership at your organization. We kind of think of them as fishing ponds, right? So when we have a critical need and we have to run searches in the system to discover more passive talent, we have the ability to reach out to these folks via email, text, phone calls. This is really a great tool for you as a job seeker, but it's also a great tool from a TA perspective for us to be really proactive. The other thing that we do in the system is we have, this is my profile that's in the applicant tracking system. So this is what it looks like. And when the TA team is reviewing resumes, they have the ability to tag your application. So we use tags to identify talent quickly in the ATS. So sometimes we post a job and we can only select one person, right? But let's say we tag people by location. So we know you live in Arizona. We know you're a director. We know your expertise is talent acquisition. We can tag those folks so that we can build proactive leads lists for us down the road. So an example is maybe we have a customer service job and we posted it internally and externally. And we ended up choosing an internal, but we had 5 really great customer service reps that applied from the outside. And they're people that we would want to potentially stay engaged with down the road. So the cool thing is that you may apply to a job and you might not be selective, but your profile, understand that your profile is discoverable later by our talent acquisition team. We also have the ability to push out email campaigns to attract talent on a lot of our hard to fill positions. The ATS allows us to see the success of the campaign. So how many emails were sent out? What was the open rate? How many people actually took action? This allows us to refine our email strategy and really narrow down our, what we would call our warm leads. Oh, hold on. I'm missing a meeting right now. Okay. So we automate, oh wait, hold on. This is a trick that, that I share with our talent acquisition team. And I thought, you know, I'm gonna share this with you just because it may benefit you when you're looking for a job. So one of the things that we do in here, you can see this is a copy of a job description. So this is a job that's posted on our career portal. And I highlighted this because you wouldn't be able to see it if I didn't, okay? So we type in keywords and we use it in white font on our career site. And so we type in those keywords. Remember I shared with you the example of RN, nurse, staff nurse, registered nurse, right? So as a recruitment team, we try to be really proactive with keywords to make sure whoever comes to our site, we're gonna capture those right people. So operating room nurses are really hard to come by. So sometimes they call themselves surgery, sometimes they're operating room, sometimes they write OR, sometimes they write perioperative. There's a lot of different variations, right? And so as a recruitment team, part of our strategy is to embed those keywords in those job descriptions. They're not visible to you, but when you're running your searches, this is more likely to come up because we embedded these keywords. And then this is what it looks like on our career portal. So you can't even see it, right? But you typed in those keywords and I had a better result because I embedded those keywords as a recruiter. So I throw this out there because would it hurt if you did the same thing on your resume potentially when you're applying for jobs? Could you use the white text strip? I don't know. It could be a potential secret tip that I'm telling you. Somebody put a question in there. Applicants, yes, you could see them. So if you were on our career portal and you hovered over here and you pulled this down, you would be able to see it because it would be highlighted blue. But most normal people don't do that. So it would be visible too if you hovered over it. However, it's highly unlikely that you would do that. Ooh, hold on. Okay, so one of the things I hear a lot from, especially from the recruitment team, is that when people apply for jobs, they're not really reading the minimum qualifications of the job. So when I tell you this, because our recruitment team is looking for people who meet the minimum quals. If you meet the minimum quals, you can get pushed along to the hiring manager. So sometimes people will go to our career site and they will apply for 100 jobs, and Alan can attest to this. And they are qualified for maybe 2 of them. And as a job seeker, that's really frustrating. You're like, gosh, I've applied for 100 jobs. Why haven't I heard anything? Well, it's because we didn't meet the minimum quals of that, or you didn't meet the minimum quals. We cannot pass your resume along to a hire manager unless you meet the minimum qualifications of the job. So when you're putting your resume together, I always say there is no one resume that you're going to send out to 100 employers. You've really got to be able to vary that up, right? Pay attention to the minimum qualifications of the job. If it says requires 3 years of nursing experience, 2 years of leadership experience, make sure you're demonstrating that on your resume. If you're not demonstrating that on your resume, you're not going to be passed along to the hiring manager. I wanted to give you a preview of what it looks like after you upload your resume into the ATS. So this is an example. This is actually my boss. She uploaded her resume into the applicant tracking system. There's a couple of different ways that you can upload your resume. You can do traditional, which is what she did. You can upload your LinkedIn profile, Facebook, or Google+. So our applicant tracking system is smart enough to be able to pick up those things and translate and integrate those things into our applicant tracking system. So when we do searches in the system, we have the ability to search on resumes or this what we call this experience tab. Here's the experience tab. Remember we talked about when your resume is parsed in, it basically takes your resume, puts in your education, your professional experience, and your license and your certifications. One thing that we do as a talent acquisition team is not only are we searching your resume, but we're able to search the experience tab as well. So we can look for people who've listed that they have an RN license in Arizona, that have worked at a certain employer. There's a lot of really rich data inside the applicant tracking system that allows us to be efficient. So another thing that our recruitment team does is they go in and they can do what's called advanced searches in the system and look for people who've maybe applied in the past. So this is an example of a Boolean search. And remember when I said RN or nurse, we look for both. And then the other thing that we look for is those different keywords. Remember emergency, ER, or ED. A lot of those things can vary depending on who it is that you're talking to. So our recruiters have the ability to go in when they run these searches, they search for resume, attachments, and really any fields inside of the candidate profile. This is a more advanced search, and what we're doing here as a talent acquisition team is we were looking for people who worked at UCLA in the operating room, but what we were really looking for was who did they list as their supervisor title. So sometimes they'll give us their references and they'll say, this was my manager, my director, or my supervisor. So there's a lot of advanced search that goes on behind the scenes inside the applicant tracking system to dig up new leads. So I get this question a lot, and I think that this was the most important thing is to keep this simple. If you are looking to work for an organization and you want to connect with potentially that local human resources or that local recruiter, I'd say your best tool is to use your friend LinkedIn, right? So in LinkedIn, you can search for employer, and then you could type in recruiter or human resources. And when you do this search, you have the ability to go in and start seeing who are our recruiters, right? There's also a filter up there that you can narrow down by location, and you can say that I want to see people who are currently working at this company. Link in with those talent acquisition people. It is their job to connect and engage with talent and answer questions. So this is one great way, right? So if you want to take it to another level, let's say you wanted to reach out to Yvonne or Courtney, you can go in here, and I used my husband's firm as an example. My husband's an architect. So if I knew that I wanted to call somebody at RSP Architects, I just typed in RSP Architecture in Google, And Google is, of course, my friend, and it gave me the phone number. And if I wanted to ask for somebody by name, the receptionist is going to transfer me to that person. So if I wanted to, I used RSP Architects as an example. I wanted to call Steve Schoenberg. If I called the 480-889-2000 number, I asked for Steve Schoenberg, the receptionist transfers me to her. So if you are brave and want to call and follow up on your application, this is another great way to actually make a connection over the phone. Okay, I see a lot of questions, and I obviously have not been paying attention. This is a good place to take a break.
Yeah, Jackie, I have some questions I'll ask.
Okay.
Okay, so one of them was about the ATS. Is there a typical average on how long an ATS retains your application or sends out notifications to jobs that are open?
Well, I can speak to ours. We don't delete or purge data. I do know some employers purge data after a certain number of years, but we don't ever purge data. As far as job alerts, you're in control of those. So you have the ability to set up alerts and you have the ability to disable alerts. So it's really up to you and how you determine how you want to get that information.
Yeah, and there was a conversation going on also about PDF format versus Word format. Mm-hmm. And so you had said something about uploading in PDF, I think if it was possible, and then convert over to Word doc if PDF isn't available. Was that what you were saying?
Yeah. So
okay.
I would say if I was looking for a job, I would always use a PDF because I wouldn't want anybody to modify my document, right? But if that's not an option, most employers will take a PDF or a Word doc. Then your secondary choice would be to take that Microsoft Word doc. Now, not everybody has a really awesome ATS. So, and I know that ATSs are a challenge to work within. But I would say we're fortunate when you're out there and you're looking, ISEMS is the tool that we use. And oftentimes you can tell what ATS the employer is using by just looking in the URL. If you look in the URL of the top portion of the ATS, it'll say .Taleo or .ISEMS. That's how you know what tool you're interacting with. Some of them use homegrown, and those are an absolute nightmare to apply online too. But I would say that the larger organizations are using the best-in-class ATSs.
That's great. There was some conversation here also about keywords and being in white. So if people put keywords on their resume in white at the bottom, when it uploads to the ATS, are those keywords invisible or would they show up?
They shouldn't show up, not if they're white. Mm-hmm.
And then another one here, it's a minimum qualifications question. You had said, you want to meet the minimum qualifications. Does that mean all minimum qualifications or, do you have a percentage, 80%, or what's your thought on that?
Minimum quals are minimum quals. So if the minimum quals call for a bachelor's degree, 3 years of nursing experience, 2 years of leadership experience, that's what we're looking for. We also have a preferred qualifications. The preferred are preferred. So it is very black and white as it relates to minimum quals.
Great. And then one more. This one is around LinkedIn Premium. I gave my perspective, but the question was, do you need to purchase LinkedIn Premium for recruiters to find you?
No.
That's what I said too. It's more about networking and connections. Okay, I think we're caught up for now.
Okay. All right, let's switch gears to social media. And I wanted to share with you, a lot of large brands have, like Dignity Health has a social media presence, but then a lot of large employers will have a careers channel. So from a careers perspective, we don't ever post on the national brand channels. Those are for consumers, basically. We, as a talent acquisition team, own our careers channel. So we have one for Dignity Health, we have one for CHI, and we have one for Common Spirit Health. This is a great place for us to go out from a branding perspective. We're out there telling our story. We're sharing where we're going to be. Our jobs are up there, what it's like to live and work our communities. But really what we do in this social space is try to attract. We also listen. So we don't just post stuff and then ghost it, right? We actually have people, and it's me, who go on the back end and people are making comments. People are private messaging us, asking questions. Who's the recruiter that I can talk to in Arizona? And I'm giving them contact information so that they can reach out to people. So this is really an engagement tool when we think about the top of the funnel and how we actually attract talent. It is something that we widely use, and it is something that we are very active from an engagement perspective. So if there's an employer that you're interested in working for, throw at the end here, just throw in careers or jobs, and you may find a specific channel dedicated to recruitment. Obviously, LinkedIn, you're on LinkedIn as job seekers, we're on LinkedIn as employers. Our recruiters are very active with connecting with passive talent in this space. Again, it's another place for us to share our story about who we are as an organization. Our goal when we go out there is to attract talent that want to align with our mission, vision, and values. So again, it's a place where we not only push out information, we listen and we react to those folks that are saying things out there. And then Glassdoor, if you are not familiar with Glassdoor, we pay a lot of money as an employer to be in this space. But if you're getting ready to interview with an organization, I would say go out there, spend 15, 20 minutes checking out who this organization is. You'll get a lot of great information. There's actual real reviews from employees or past employees. Their jobs are obviously up there as well. They actually allow people to input salary information. So they'll say, you know, if you're this, then you'll likely get paid that. Like it gives you sort of an estimate based on location. It also lets people go in and give reviews on interviews. So I went through the interview process. These are some of the questions that they asked, or it was positive, it was negative, it took me 2 weeks. Lots of really great information, and then benefits information. So it's sort of an insider's view that's really awesome for you to be able to see what people are saying about this organization real time. And then there's obviously connections to all of our social channels in here as well. So if you're not using Glassdoor as a tool, I would incorporate that into your toolbox because it's a really useful tool to find out information before you even apply, really. And then Indeed offers another avenue. It allows people to give us reviews, which is pretty awesome. Why people would want to join us. We have 1,000, over almost 2,000 reviews on us, and it breaks it down by location and job title. People have given salary information, obviously all of our jobs, and then Q&A is in here as well. We use this as a listening tool from a branding perspective, so we can say what people are saying and what people are looking at when they're looking at there. But it is definitely another place that we share our story and that we are very active from a listening perspective. That is my last slide.
Okay, thank you. We have a ton of questions.
Okay.
So and we have some time, so it's okay. All right, let me go through some of the questions I've written down. Okay, cover letters were brought up a couple times. And so if a cover letter, what's your thoughts on cover letters? Should you do them? When they're submitted, do they get read on the applicant tracking system? Okay,
this is my personal opinion and it's worth 2 cents. So take it or leave it. I'll give you some advice that I gave. My husband was looking for a job about 5 years ago. And I feel like a resume is very much like, I went to school here, here's my professional experience, but it doesn't get to say who I am as a person, right? And so whenever somebody says to me, are cover letters worth it? This is the advice that I give, is that if you had a story, right? A story to share, why you're doing what you're doing, why you want to work for this organization, why you picked the career that you picked, right? And it goes beyond, you know, what you can actually put in a real resume. My suggestion is to put your resume together, but make page 1 your cover letter and then save it as a PDF, because what that does is it forces the talent acquisition, the hiring manager, the HR person to read your story, right? And that's how you could potentially set yourself apart from your competition, because it's more than then I went to school here. I have this many years of experience. It's telling a story. So I like to share that story because Steve actually did that, and he sent out 2 resumes and he got 2 interviews. So I would say if you were going to do a cover letter, I would embed it inside of your resume, like almost like a packet, and make it one PDF so that they force the person to read it. If I was looking for a job, would I use a cover letter? I don't know if I'd use a cover letter. I would say most of the time, if they are separate, they are not being read, potentially. I think it would cause the recruiter, if there's something on the resume that goes, wonder what's going on with that, maybe it would force the recruiter to read it. But I wouldn't say that when they're screening applications and resumes, when they're screening so many, that it is the number one thing that they look at. The number one thing that they're looking at is that resume.
And do recruiters and hiring managers actually get the resume, or do they just get the information in the applicant tracking system?
Well, I'll tell you, at our organization, it's all in one system, right? The applicant tracking system has the resume and the experience tab. Different organizations do them differently. Some of them only send the resume. Some of them only send the experience tab. So I think each organization handles it a little bit differently. I can only speak to what we do at our org.
And isn't it true there are probably thousands of applicant tracking systems out there?
Yeah.
They're all different.
They are.
Yeah.
But like I said, most big organizations use, the top 3 or 4. So, but some of your smaller mom and pop shops may be using, some homegrown thing that's terrible.
Yes. Okay. A question came up about once you fill out your information on an applicant tracking system, let's say someone sees another job and they go in and they want to upload a new resume. Does new information, does it take away the old and replace it with the new?
Yeah, in our system, it actually does take away the old and replaces it with the new, but it retains it, it sort of archives it. So it says, here's the latest and greatest, here is the old one.
Awesome. And this one is on, I would love your take on salary guidance. And so a lot of applicant tracking systems require the salary field to be filled out. Can you talk to us about that? Because we often hear defer the salary conversation as long as possible. And so would you address that?
I'm really surprised that they require that, especially the way the laws are, especially in California. They're not to ask that question. They can ask salary expectations, but they can't ask you what you're currently making. We purposely don't ask that question. It's not even something that you can put in the ATS. It's not even a field that we ask for. So I'd be really surprised if employers aren't moving in that direction. I always have said whoever talks money first loses. Because I think that you should defer it and get to know me as a candidate before I can start talking salary to you. I know that can be a really hard conversation at times. If the ATS is asking for it, I guess I would have to say I'd be really surprised just because of what's going on from a law perspective. I would not put anything in there if I was looking for a job, because I feel like it's really too early to begin having those conversations.
Yeah, some people are saying, if it's a required field, could they put just 1 in or a whole bunch of 9s or something?
That's what I do. I would not answer that question.
There you go, straight from the recruiter's mouth. We've always said that as well. Try to defer as long as possible. Okay, somebody had said they're using Google Docs. Is that okay, or do they need to convert it to a Word doc?
If the employer accepts a Google Doc, we take Google Plus. So I think it will tell you if it doesn't take it. It will say, it has to be a Word doc or it has to be a PDF. Usually it's pretty obvious what they can and can't take.
Great. And then one more. Okay. Can you just take a minute to give us your advice on resumes? So, couple pages, 2 pages, 3 pages, kind of content. What's just your guidance on resumes?
I would say I wouldn't make it any more than 2 pages, but I also think it depends on what you do. I think as a, you know, like a customer service, or I would say that a position maybe more entry level, right, is 1 page, right? But if you've been doing it a really long time, I would say you have a little bit more leeway. When you upload to the ATS, you can't tell how many pages it is because it just scrolls, right? So don't be afraid to do more than 1 page, or if it's 1 1/4 of a page, don't be freaked out about that. What I always say to people who are looking for jobs is, you know, make sure your contact information is up at top. You'd be really surprised that people don't put their contact information. If you're not a realtor, your photo does not need to be included. In fact, I'd say don't include your photo. And up at the top, I always say, put your summary of skills. If I took a picture of your skills, you can list them out in a bullet point. You know, what are the high level overview of what you do and what you're looking to do. So I'd have their summary skills, and then I would have your work experience, and then your education. That's how I would format my resume.
Great. And okay, so if people apply for a job on Indeed or through Google search or something, does that get into your applicant tracking system? How does that? Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is we pay, I call it, we pay to play in those spaces. So if it goes over to Indeed and you see it on Indeed, and then once you hit the apply button, you've left Indeed and you've entered into our applicant tracking system. So once you actually start typing in your application, you're in the applicant tracking system.
Yeah, and so even on all of those job boards, somehow it converts onto your site.
Well, it's pretty seamless to the candidate. You probably don't even notice that you're doing it, but while you're going through the job search, pay attention to the URL at the top, because it'll say indeed.com, you know, whatever. It'll be like a really long URL. And then once you hit apply, you'll notice that the URL will change to the company's applicant tracking system.
That's awesome. In the chat box, you guys, Mark Fisher, thank you for posting this. He put an article on here on the top applicant tracking systems. And so it does list all the ones you were talking about, Jackie.
Yeah.
So thanks. I think that's all the questions. Oh, this one just popped up. This is a great question. So when someone applies, is there a preference from your standpoint, someone applying through a job board like Indeed or you know, any of the job board sites, or going directly and applying directly on your Dignity site? You wouldn't see the difference? No,
we track what's called source data. So Jess, if you applied and you applied from LinkedIn, we are able to know that you came from LinkedIn, okay? Recruiters aren't necessarily paying attention to that. When we're putting together our digital strategy, the talent acquisition leadership team's looking at that and going, okay, we got so many applicants from LinkedIn and we converted to, you know, I don't know, 3,500 hires, right? So we look at that at the end of the year. We actually look at it quarterly, and we determine, are we going to continue to invest in LinkedIn? Are we getting the right types of candidates? Are we converting them to hires? So we spend a lot of money in the digital space to attract job seekers, and where they come from, we use the data to determine if we continue using those tools or if we discontinue using those tools. That's why I said the best place to find jobs is Indeed, is our career portal, right? Because we don't put every single job on Indeed. We don't put every single job on LinkedIn because it's super expensive for us and we can't afford to do that. So we have to be very selective with where we put jobs and in what spaces.
That's great. What about another question that popped up is there such thing as like using too many keywords? Like, could it be spam if they have a ton of keywords listed on their resume?
Well, here's what you could also do is in your resume, and I could use the RN example over and over again. If in your resume, you put your job title was, you know, RN ICU, but then, and you put who you worked for, who your employer was. But inside of your description of the work that you did, incorporate the word nurse. You know, so you have the word RN and nurse in your resume. So use it interchangeably. And remember, even if you put your cover letter in, that's a searchable or discoverable place that we look for keywords as well. So as long as you have it incorporated inside of your resume, I think you'd be in good shape.
I want you to touch on something. We have a couple more minutes, so I would love for you to talk about this. You guys, Dignity does an exceptional job when it comes to candidate engagement through social media. And I know you talked a little bit about social media, so hopefully I'm not repeating this because I was typing questions, so I missed a little bit. But when you guys do online virtual events, your recruiters are actually behind the scene, but on the social media account talking to candidates. Is that true?
Yeah. So on our social channels, we have Dignity Health Careers, CHI Careers. I will just talk about Facebook for right now, and Common Spirit Careers. If there's somebody who's commenting, if somebody who's asking questions, if somebody's private messaging us, I am the person responding to those right now. When we have an event, we'll host what's called a virtual event, and we'll invite people to come to our page that day between the hours of 9 and 12 p.m., 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we have a group of recruiters that are behind the scenes ready to answer questions. So what we do is we have sort of like, I call it air traffic control. We have somebody who's saying, hi, welcome, you know, thanks for joining us. What type of position, what location are you looking for? And then once I get all of that information, then I say, hey, Jess, I need you to talk to Alan. And then you go and chat with Alan in a private room. So we do that all inside of Facebook. There's other tools that we could potentially use. Indeed has an Indeed virtual hiring event tool that we could use as well. It's set up through Zoom or WebEx. We haven't really gone down that path because we've been so successful in Facebook. But it is actual real recruiters talking online with candidates and job seekers.
Yeah, we have an event, and I think you guys are part of it, June 23rd, and it's a Chandler virtual hiring event at 10 a.m. The kickoff is at 10 a.m. And we're going to have 14 companies, and every single company is going to have multiple recruiters sitting there and engaging and chatting with candidates. And so if people need to be utilizing these online formats to connect directly with recruiters. I love that your recruiters answer people right there when they're asking questions.
We went through a lot of training on what to do during those virtual events, because the last thing as a job seeker is for you to go in and go, hey, I'm interested in this nursing position in Sacramento. And you're like, I'd be like, oh, here's the link to our website. You're like, no, man, like, I want to talk. I want to learn more about this. I want to know who I can talk to. What do I have to do to get an interview, right? So we've coached the team to be able to say things like, what location, what shift are you looking for? Let me see what openings we have. They're really trying to engage with candidates to give them real answers so that it can be like I'm meeting with you face to face. I think that that's one thing that COVID has taught us, is that we have to think differently in this space, right? We can't be meeting people, shaking people's hands right now. So we have to be available in this online space and make sure that it's authentic.
Absolutely. Another question came through. Does the applicant tracking system monitor how long it takes somebody to fill out an application? Would you know if they left and came back? And
we do. So there's automation in the ATS that if you start the application and you don't complete it, and it's been 24 hours, the system will send you an email that says, hey, Jess, you started this. Do you want to finish it? And then 3 days later, Jess, if you haven't done what you were supposed to do, fill out that application, there'll be another notification. So we basically give job seekers twice as far as reminders. So yes, there is automation that goes on behind the scenes. We are able to see how long it takes somebody to apply to our jobs, and we also see where our fall off is. So where do we start to lose people in the application process? And that's something that we monitor as a TA leadership team.
One more topic here. I keep saying that, but great questions are coming through. So, what we tell people, a lot of times there's a hidden job market out there of jobs that might not be posted, networking, talking to people. Does Dignity do that? Are all your jobs always posted, or is there sometimes jobs that come up that are never posted?
So here's how it works. We have to post all of our jobs internally. We do not have to post all of our jobs externally. So when, as a policy, an HR policy at Dignity Health, and a lot of companies are like this, so I'll just give it as an example, all of our jobs have to be posted internally for 7 business days. We consider our internal applicants before we even look at external candidates. And
the most unattractive thing.
oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. We consider our internals before we look external the organization. It's in our best interest to keep our employees happy, which is why we consider those internals first. From an internal mobility perspective, just thinking about data, the 34,000 people that we hired last year, half of those were people moving from one department to another, one shift to another. So a lot of times you'll hear people say, you know, like, hey, I just want to get my foot in the door, right? Because if all of our jobs are posted internally, but not all of our jobs are posted externally, you have a much greater chance of getting a job if you're internal.
Great. Okay, we are done. Jackie, anything else you'd like to mention before we transition off?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. There is probably some more engagement happening on the chat. So
Okay.
if you could stay on and just look through the chat and answer questions, we would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. You were awesome. We really appreciate your viewpoint.
No problem.
All right, we are going to transition into some of our hiring companies now. And first we have the Hartford. Chet is with us, and he has been in talent acquisition and HR for over 12 years in Phoenix in various different industries, but he's been with the Hartford since 2017. And as a talent acquisition professional, he is more of a career consultant than a recruiter, and always recommends job seekers to focus on companies that offer great career development and future opportunities, whatever level they are in their careers. The Hartford has a reputation for developing their employees and promoting from within. And with over 200 years of stability, they are still continuing to grow across the country and are expanding operations in Scottsdale. So please help me welcome Chet Joshi to our stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Yes, my name is Chet Joshi. I'm part of the Hartford's talent organization. I lead our talent here in Phoenix. And what I'll do is tell you a little bit more about the company and some of the opportunities that we typically have and what we have open today. So I do need to move this to the next screen, and I seem to have lost. There we go. All right. So the Hartford, as Jessica mentioned, we are over 200 years old. We are based in Hartford, Connecticut, and we have operations across the country. We have 19,000 employees across the country, and we have a new, well, it's not so new now, but it was 4 years ago, a brand new operations center here in Scottsdale at 101 and Raintree in North Scottsdale. And we started with obviously no employees. Today we have over 800. And so it's been a great success story for the Hartford. We have grown organically and methodically. And so we now have a number of lines of business that are located in this location. We do personal lines insurance, which is the insurance that you and I are very familiar with, your auto, your home insurance. We also are the #1 provider of disability insurance in the country. And so, so our group benefit operations is our disability group. And then we do workers' compensation insurance. And then we do specialty insurance. This is something that the Hartford's been very much active in growth areas. And so recently we purchased a company that gave us worldwide operations, and this is in marine insurance. So we are growing on all fronts. Underpinning all of these offerings are our claims organization. So these are the folks that will help you when you have an unfortunate incident, maybe your house got flooded or a minor fender bender accident. So that is who the Hartford is. And that is what we do. We have a large footprint in the insurance industry, and we are continuing to grow. So we have, you know, a tremendous organization, tremendous training and development, which we focus on for our staff. And that leads to tremendous promotional opportunities. So our mission is that we deliver outcomes, we work as a team, we build strong partnerships, we strive for excellence. And you'll see these values across the board at the Hartford. We have an award-winning work environment. It's inclusive, diverse. We have a number of causes that we are focused on. We do a lot in the community, environmental stewardship, and so that's social responsibility. And then obviously we have fun at work. So it's a great working environment in an industry that I really had no experience with, but it's been an interesting journey at the company. We have won many awards. We have been voted for 12 years on the consecutive years as the world's most ethical company through Ethisphere. We win awards regularly, best places to work, and as you can see, we do have an emphasis on diversity and inclusion. Okay, so right now, the position that I'm going to feature today is a sales agent position. This is an entry-level position for those who do not have insurance experience. And for those who do have insurance experience, we have a slightly different level for those who are licensed who can also join the organization. And so in this role, you'll be selling auto and home insurance, and you wouldn't never have to cold call. Every single call is coming into you, and you're handling that call. So rather than a sweatshop sales type of position, I would like to emphasize that it's very much a customer service role, with a sales component to it. We've been around for over 200 years because of our commitment to our customers, and so our professional environment definitely illustrates that. Okay, so the company, with 19,000 employees across the country, we offer industry-leading benefits. And that is another thing that we are well known for. We provide you with benefits, health benefits from the first day of employment, whether you are joining us as a part-time employee, as a entry-level employee, or as an executive. We have a commitment to work-life balance here at the Hartford. We're going to give you 19 days paid time off, which is your sick time and your vacation time rolled into one. We're going to give you that in your first full year of employment. Very, very few companies do that. You probably have to wait 3 years before you get 19 days, which is just under 4 weeks. So that gives you an idea of how committed we are to work-life balance. And then our general benefits are very rich. Our tuition reimbursement, student debt relief programs are very, very strong. And then we also have wellness initiatives that help you decrease any healthcare premium costs. And so actually the number of benefits that are available and perks that are available to us are so numerous, I can't even keep up. So that gives you an idea of how committed we are to providing an excellent work space and work environment for our employees. Okay, so to apply to this position, you can go to our website, and as you heard earlier, there's an ATS system that we use, and so you will make that application and answer questions in that application, and basically we look at every single resume that comes into the Hartford. So that is our commitment to you as a candidate. And so we do receive a lot of applicants. So I do want to let you know that, hey, while we have a limited number of openings, not everybody's going to be called in for an interview. But I encourage everybody who are interested in a career in insurance, or if you've got some insurance experience and you're looking for a stable company where you can grow, then the Hartford is definitely that company. And so my email is here. It's chet.joshi@thehartford.com. My number, 602-395-3499. So I encourage everybody to apply. You do need to apply to be considered. But if you have questions, you can reach out to me anytime. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
That's
And
great.
so,
I have a couple.
what questions do we have right now?
I have a couple that came up.
Yes.
First of all, I know that the sales position is your primary position. I do see you have a couple other posted on your website.
Yes.
Are those legit? Okay, so you have additional a product owner, some underwriters, those kind of things out there. Okay.
Yeah, we do. A lot of those types of positions are going to be you need specific skills for those positions, and they may require insurance experience, which is why I'm focusing on the sales position, because this is a great entry level point into the company. And the good thing is it gives you a well-rounded information on how to grow, to learn insurance and how to grow in insurance. And obviously we as a company are very much focused on developing and promoting our own staff. And so you will see other opportunities, and you're welcome to apply to those positions as well.
Great. And are your positions remote right now, or are they remote always? Do you do any remote stuff?
That's a great question. So right now, actually the Hartford was one of the first companies in the country to send all its employees home. And so today everybody is working from home. And so for this position and any other position, you would be starting remotely. Now we have remote options for the position. So if you're doing well in your position, then you do have the option to work remotely.
Awesome. Well, Chet, thank you so much for being here. Chet will stay around for a little while. So if you have additional questions, drop them in the chat or send him a private chat message, and he'll be able to address those. Thank you again. Thanks for being here, Chet.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right, we're going to move over to Alan, and Alan is actually going to talk about the Dignity Health positions that are available. He's a recruiter with Dignity Health's talent acquisition team. As Jackie mentioned earlier, Dignity is part of Common Spirit Health, which is the largest Catholic health system and the second largest nonprofit hospital chain in the U.S. Prior to joining Dignity Health in 2019, Alan served his country in the U.S. Army, holding various combat and non-combat roles in operations, management, and paramedicine. Alan is a decorated soldier, earning numerous awards and honors during his 30-year military career. He also holds a bachelor's degree in personnel management and is currently pursuing his MBA in HR management. Alan, thank you so much for being here. Wow, thank you for sharing with us all that information, and thank you for serving in the United States Army. We really appreciate you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. One of the reasons that's mentioned in my background is because Dignity Health also focuses on veteran recruitment, so very veteran friendly. So for those of you out there who served, thank you, and please take a look at us. Let me make sure I have control here. Yay. So when Jackie was answering the questions regarding recruiters and what we look at and so forth, I am one of the recruiters that were there on the virtual recruiting situations like we have today. When we have our Facebook recruiting events, I am also one of those recruiters, so I can attest to the fact that yes, a live recruiter is there. So the history is going to be repeated from what Jackie covered, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But what I am going to say is that we, as I explained before, it can become confusing about, Dignity Health, Arizona General, who's who, what's what. It's like with the General Motors Corporation. You have Chevy, GMC, Buick. They all fall under that large umbrella of GM. That's how it is with us. St. Joseph's, Dignity Health, Arizona General, CHI, we fall under that large Common Spirit umbrella. So again, along with that large umbrella comes a large network of individuals for you to move from state to state, position to position as you progress through your career. So as we look here in the Valley of the Sun, here in the Phoenix proper, if you will. We have various locations that Dignity Health employees can function at. We have obviously our large hospitals, but we also have our standalone emergency departments. We have our standalone EDs, which are separate from their urgent care. We also have our medical facilities where you have your doctor's offices and so forth. We have corporate centers. And so along with that, a lot of people think of, when they think of healthcare organizations, they think of the patient care providers, but they forget about the fact that we are like a large city among our own group. We have all these support roles that need to function because we are not only patient care providers, but we are also a business. So I see a lot of people with project management coming on. I see a lot of people with leadership experience. Well, we have those roles. So just because you're not a nurse or you're not a CT tech, that doesn't mean you don't have a home at Dignity. So please come to our website and check out our positions. So that's one of the wonderful things about Dignity as well as our benefits. That's one of the, in addition to our culture, our benefits situation is one that puts us head and shoulders above our competitors, if you will. People come to Dignity because of the culture and the benefits. So some of those are the dental, medical, and the vision, which it's available on the first of the month after 30 days of employment. And we actually have a zero premium option. We have a pension plan and a 403B, which is company match program, tuition assistance and net assist, or through net assist, excuse me, and a Smart Dollar program, which is to promote financial wellness. Personal Best is an employee engagement platform that focuses on the whole company and ecosystem. So if your interest is, in addition to, I heard there were questions about compensation earlier. If you look at the large picture and take a look at compensation and the benefits as part of that compensation package, I think you'll find that Dignity Health is going to be one of the best places that you can call home. So the careers that we have available. I saw also the questions about what positions are posted, what positions do you have, hidden positions, that sort of thing. Well, this goes on to what I was saying earlier about a lot of people think of hospital change, they think of the patient-facing positions. Obviously, we have nurses. Obviously, we have rehab techs. So yes, we have everything that deals with patient-facing positions. But we also have non-patient-facing positions. We have the entry-level positions of the food service workers, plant maintenance facilities. The plant maintenance and facilities are not necessarily entry-level positions. These are positions of people that have national licensure with like HVAC and so forth. The food service positions is wonderful for individuals who are either seeking a degree in culinary arts, individuals who are going through nursing school, what have you. So it gets your foot in the door of Dignity. And we have that tuition assistance where it's going to help you to pay for your degree. And then you're going to be able to move into, as part of the Dignity family, into the career field that you're looking for. We have information technology. We have cybersecurity, accounting, financing. We have positions in real estate. We have positions in project management. Again, we are a huge organization that we have both the patient care and the business end, and it's like a city of its own, and we have all these roles. You'd be amazed at what we have if you go in and just start taking a look. If you're bored, sitting at home, you have nothing left to do, go to our website of dignityhealthcareers.org and just take a look at the number of positions we have. And I think you'd be amazed at what we do offer and the diversity of the positions that we offer. And again, so this is to search jobs. You go to the dignityhealthcareers.org. But let me tell you about why I became part of Dignity. The reason I became part of Dignity is because I was stationed here in the past in Phoenix. And so before I retired from the Army, I was a patient at Dignity Health. And the way that I was treated as a patient and the way that I interacted with the individuals who were there around me, it led me to do some research on Dignity. And I found that for the ratings of Dignity versus the other hospital chains in the area, both for patients and for employees, Dignity Health, we were essentially the gold medal winners. And that told me that I wanted to be part of that. And that is the culture at Dignity. A lot of people say that their work is a home away from home. Well, it's more than that with Dignity. For me, dignity is not a home away from home. It's not even my work family. It's an extension of the home, an extension of your family. And I know that Jackie can attest that. When you become part of the Dignity family, you are part of the family. And we are absolutely all about the human kindness aspect. So again, thank you so much. I really hope that everybody takes the opportunity to go and check out our website, the dignityhealthcareers.org. And I hope that you become part of our family. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I have a question that came up earlier, so I don't know if this is something you want to address. Jackie, maybe you want to address this, but I thought it was best with you. You know, obviously our healthcare systems are being really impacted because of COVID and what's been going on in our environment. And we have heard there have been some people that maybe have been put on furlough or cut hours because of this at Dignity. Has that impacted your hiring, or can you address that a little bit?
That's a great question. And actually, as far as my knowledge goes, we here at Dignity Health, and especially in the Phoenix area, have not furloughed anyone. And so we're able to, because we're such a large organization, we're able to leverage that to make sure that we take care of our family.
Well, that's awesome. Great. And so I think that's all the questions we have. We have your information down here, and we dropped your LinkedIn URL as well, so people can connect directly with you on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for being here, Alan. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you have additional questions for Alan, just drop them in the chat and he'll hang on and be able to answer some of those. All right, we're gonna move over to our last speaker today. Jason Wiseman is here. Jason, he is with WealthWave. He spent 2 decades in the corporate world in the semiconductor industry, and his business experience has ranged from owning his own consulting company firm to purchasing a franchise that he and his wife ran. The past 12 years has been spent managing his own agency, and he has been recognized for his performance in the top 500, been a feature on the cover of Business and Finance magazine, and is a multiple 6-figure earner. Jason co-authored a best-selling book called Winning Ways. He has been married for 26 years, 2 children, and is a senior marketing director for WealthWave. So will you please help me welcome Jason Wiseman?
Thank you. Thank you. You hear me okay?
There you are.
Very good. I think I have the mouse. Let's see here. I do now. Awesome. Well, hey, first of all, I want to thank Career Connectors for giving us all an opportunity to speak to you guys today. And I want to acknowledge everybody that's here looking to further their career and expand their horizons. I'll expand a little bit on my background. You know, I came out of the same world that you all are living in. This business was birthed out of a corporate career. And after about 20 years of I was pretty close to 20, I decided I was going to make a career change. So, you know, during that time, I dealt with the, and I understand, don't hear me wrong, this doesn't happen everywhere, but, you know, I dealt with the glass ceilings. I dealt with the up and downs of the job market. When the first year I was at Motorola, the company laid off 60,000 people around the globe. Big shock to everybody's system. If you remember, that was during the dot-com bust. You know, I dealt with the politics, the fighting for the raises, the upward mobility issues, and really, it's very challenging to find a career that is merit-based in terms of promotions and growth. If we're honest about it, oftentimes it's about who we know in the organization that gets us the advancement, and that's okay. I mean, relationships are important. But really, at the end of the day, those people are also looking out for their position and title. So after dealing with that for a number of years and having tried to start my own business and then purchasing the franchise, in 2007, I just decided I was going to make some kind of career change. Now, I share that with you because there was one thing that just continued to haunt my household for years and years and years and years. And that was the symptomatic problem of running out of money before we ran out of month. And I didn't, you know, I thought we were doing something wrong. Don't tell you this to impress you, but just impress upon you. We were a 6-figure plus household with our corporate jobs, and it just seemed to plague us on an ongoing basis. And I thought we were doing things right. You know, we didn't buy new cars every couple of years. We've lived in the same house now for almost 20 years. We bought an old home and did some work on it. But we just seemed to not be winning the money game. And as I'm approaching 40 back then, I'm looking at our life going, we've got it, something's got to change here. And part of it was career, and part of it was what we were doing to save for retirement, because the investments weren't working well either. And we weren't dumb people. I mean, we were both educated. I have an associate's degree and a bachelor's. My wife has the bachelor's degree. But the one thing that didn't come with those careers was an education about money. We learned how to make it. We just didn't exactly learn what to do with it once we did make it. So we decided to make a change. And part of that change was us getting some advice and some help from somebody when it came to saving and investing. And I called my CPA and said, hey, do you know anybody that does this? This is what I'm looking to do. And he put me in touch with a guy. And here was the interesting part. He came in with a notebook and a pencil and asked us questions about our life. And then he began to educate us on the path that we were on in terms of investing and saving and planning. And then began to re-educate us on some more, I would say, relevant issues related to what our outcome was. And so rather than coming in with a brochure or a packet saying, you know, here's this mutual fund, here's this investment account, he started with the education piece, opened our eyes up to look at things a little bit different. And then we understood why we were going to do some of the things that we did. And we moved forward. And during that process, I looked at him and said, what does it take to do what you do? Because at that stage of my life, you know, we had been around the block a little bit and I hadn't gotten help. And I thought, man, most people probably aren't getting this. Little did I know what that was going to turn into. So as it says here, I'm with an organization called WealthWave. We're part of the Transamerica and Aegon group of companies. And we are disrupting the financial service industry. The distribution channel is broken, and we're out correcting that and fixing it. So let's talk about the need here a little bit. Financial literacy is what we call it. It impacts about 5 billion people on the planet. And how we measure that is if you give people a quiz with about 5 questions, what we think should be common sense, easy questions about money, most people can answer it. And then at the same time, when people need us the most, our industry is suffering from a shortage of advisors. About 40% of advisors plan to retire within the next 10 years. There are more CFPs over the age of 70 than under the age of 30. And when you add up the boomer population, Gen X, and millennials, and now we have Gen Z coming into adulthood, we have way more demand than we have supply of advisors. And so part of the reason for that is that the industry's training system is broken. And I found this interesting that a gentleman was quoted in this article on CNBC that says, we don't have, I'll turn my video off. It sounds like the audio is not working. We don't have a formal training program. Just hang out with me all day and we'll get there together. So you can't train enough people to work in an industry if the training system is broken. And so what we've done is we've fixed that in the industry. Now, why do people move? This is the other thing that we're looking at. About 61% of people say that they'd like to be their own boss and have their own business. And people change jobs a lot now. 4 job changes by the time you're 32. And the Gen Xers, that's my generation, average about 2 job changes in their first 10 years out of college. I was those people that did that. And here are the reasons why. Lack of opportunity for advancement. They're unsatisfied with the leadership. Believe it or not, money is not even at the top of the list as to why people change. I think, people will tolerate a little less money if they're happy in their work environment and there's room for advancement. So 30+% of people looking to move out of their job are doing it for reasons other than money. But the gap from going from employee to entrepreneur is big there as well. You've got challenges with money, you've got challenges with systems. And so what we've done is we've created a platform that teaches people how money works. It's an educational-based platform. Our industry has typically been a sales-driven process. You show up with a product, you sell that product to somebody, and you move on. We have taken that and flipped it the other way around. We want to provide education first. We have a book called How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. I'd love to get all of you a copy of that book, and I'm going to show you how to get that in just a second. Over 500,000 copies have been distributed since it was released last October. It's the #1 personal finance book in the industry right now. And along with that is our platform that supports people to go provide the education and get the exposure. So what we offer people is the ability to have a personalized website, email text campaign, podcast, hands-on training, in-person and virtually, social media campaigns, one-on-one mentorship. We use Salesforce as our backbone for data storage. National press exposure. This book and the two authors have been on over a dozen morning shows this year. Of course, COVID stopped some of that, so now they're doing it virtually. CNBC picked this book up and wrote an article. If you go Google the Rule of 72 on CNBC, you will find an article that they wrote where they fact-checked the book and then wrote an article, and they're in the process of doing 2 additional segments to teach money classes to people. Low financial barrier to entry for the entrepreneur. It's a licensed quality profession. There are no glass ceilings. You can't be somebody's friend and advance. It's merit-based, which is awesome. So what are we looking for? I personally, in my agency here, I'm looking to train and educate 10 new licensed people full-time in our office and 5 on a part-time basis. So if somebody's had a background in experience teaching, being a coach, being a team lead, a manager, those are great people. We'd love to chat with you. If you're in the talent acquisition field, we'd love to chat with you. And if you've ever thought about being in any of those capacities, we'd love to meet with you as well, because we provide a platform that will teach you some of those skills and help you advance your personal development in a way that you can continue to grow personally and grow your business skills. So, I'll leave you with this. Every other day this year during COVID, I've been through 2 recessions. I've been through economic boom and bust in this business. It's recession-proof. It's pandemic-proof. Every other day so far this year, we have recognized a new person in our company for crossing $100,000 in income for the first time in their career, and we measure that on an annual basis, so that there is some income to be made here. And where else can you go where you have a business that's recession-proof, pandemic-proof, and then turn around and do it inside of a quality licensed profession that's regulated by the state, it's regulated at the federal level, the SEC, just the same way as a bank is, and then learn business. And that's what we offer you. So this is my contact info. What I've done is I've set up a time for people that would like to learn a little bit more. You can join me on Friday. In fact, if you take your camera and capture that QR code that you see there, that will send me an email that I will respond to you, and you can come explore what that looks like. Entrepreneurship is growing here in the United States, and especially now with 35 million people unemployed and trying to figure out what to do. It's a way forward. It's a plan B. It's additional income in a quality profession that has been around for several hundred years. So, Jessica, that's what I had to share with everybody. And if people want to join me Friday, I'd love to chat with more people.
That's great. Thank you. We have some questions going on in the chat and that I just wanted to address. And so some people were asking, is this a commission? Is this a paid position? This is more of a business building opportunity. So building out your own business with coaching and guidance and training. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, it's a 1099 position. There is licensing required. I saw the question about MLM. We are not that. We can't be that. We don't want to be that. Our industry is so, you wouldn't believe the regulation that we have to follow being in the money business. Yeah.
Awesome. And just just so you all know, we don't usually bring in business opportunities, but because of COVID, we have been getting a ton of people reevaluating their career and wanting to know what kinds of opportunities are out there for people that want to build businesses. So when Jason approached us, sent us his book. I love your book, by the way. I thought, hey, we're going to try this out and see how this goes. So thank you so much for presenting. And how do people get a copy of your book?
Yeah, if they just capture that QR or email me with their mailing address, I'm happy to send them one. Sure.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much. We really
Yeah,
appreciate you,
bet.
Jason.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go through a couple things to close this out. We have some really great resources we would like to walk you guys through. First of all, we want to let you guys know about our partnership with Brighton College. It's called the Career Connectors Academy, and we have many different training opportunities. Some are at no cost and some are at a low negotiated rate. And so there's a grant that covers some of the IT training. And there's various trainings out there, but the grant covered ones are more on the technology side. So if you go to cca.training, we'll be able to show you, or you'll be able to see the types of trainings out there, and then they'll be able to vet you quickly and let you know what you're looking for and if you qualify for the no-cost training. All right, so we are going to do, in a virtual format, get some feedback from you guys. And so Sheila's going to launch our poll. What's going to happen is up on your screen is going to, a question is going to come up. If you just can answer that question really quick, then it will go away off of your screen. And I think we have 3 or 4 questions there's the first one, just about the registration process. As part of this though, we can't get verbiage. And so what we're asking for is if you have a topic you would like to hear about that we have not addressed or are not addressing soon, you can type that in the chat. You can also send us an email at contact@careerconnectors.org. So you can tell us maybe a company that you're looking for, and we'll see if we can bring them out to speak, or if you have some topics you'd like to address. And on the screen right now is our partners, all of our, many of our corporate partners and premier partners, the ones that make our program happen. So we're incredibly grateful to all of them and the work they do to help us get this information out to you. All right, if you are looking for a job, specific, this part right here, this slide is pretty much specific to Arizona. I know we have people on the line from all over the country, but we're located in Arizona. And so if you are in Arizona and you're looking for a position, if you go to bestcompaniesaz.com/resources, we have over 200 companies out there that have their jobs listed that are currently hiring. And last I heard, the number was 120,000 jobs were open in Arizona. I think that data was last week that I got that number. So the ones that we have posted out there though are verified. We have talked to the employers and we've talked to them about their openings. So I encourage you to go out there and take a look. All right, the next one here is some resources we have available for you. So we have a partnership with Top Talent Consulting to be able to get you a DISC assessment at no charge. And if you go in, it'll take you 10-15 minutes to complete the assessment. It's going to give you a 24-page report. And that report is going to tell you about your communication style, some of your strengths. I love some of the verbiage because we can use it right on our resume. We can incorporate it into the resume. We are also doing an event recap today. And what that means is the content from Jackie and our companies, we're gonna put into a blog format, and that will be posted in the next couple days. So that'll be on our blog. We're also taking this entire event today, the virtual event and webinar, and posting that on our website. So we had some questions in the chat about how to do the drop down, where things are. All of that is going to be right on our, saved and recorded right on our website. And there's a webinars tab, which I'll get to in just a little bit. There are social media channels. So of course, if you connect with us on social media, we're trying to do a lot of social media content, including various different programs that we're recording for you. Okay, so this is a great program we have launched. Typically at our in-person events, we do one-on-one coaching during the last hour of resource time. Obviously, we can't do that during these events, so instead we've launched a virtual coaching program. It's a 10-minute consultation with a coach. If you have some questions on your resume, if you want someone to look at your resume and provide you guidance, if you have some questions on LinkedIn and how to beef up your profile, or work experience or how to make connections, please go fill out this form And we will connect you with coaches. Just tell us what kind of coaching you need. You'll see, you'll just check the boxes. If you need somebody to do some financial coaching with you, budgeting, or maybe you have some questions on unemployment, or you have an interview coming up and you need to do some mock interviews, all of those are options. And we have a great, we call them an arsenal of coaches, professional certified coaches that can help you out. Okay, then the next slide here is our events. So we have a virtual event every Wednesday morning currently from 9 to 11. I don't know if that will maintain for the rest of the year, but we at least know through July, definitely having them every Wednesday morning. As things start to open, we may go back to 1 or 2 face-to-face events per month, but we will also continue the virtual events. Next week, you're going to hear from Abby Kohut, Your Job Search 2020, How to Be a Victor Rather Than a Victim. Abby Kohut lives in Jersey, and she, many years ago in the recession in 2009, she hopped on a bus, bought a bus, and traveled the country. And her goal was to help 1 million job seekers. That lasted for a couple years. Now she uses planes to do it, but because we're so virtual, we can have her on our call. She's amazing. Honor Health and State Farm are our hiring companies that day. We just booked on June 24th, Christy Staub. We're waiting on her content or her topic. She's phenomenal. She lives in Las Vegas, and so she'll be doing our virtual event. And then Health BL is right now the hiring company. We'll have more. We're also booking on July 1st an event. So be on the lookout at your email. If you did not register for this event and just hopped on, you got the Zoom information, make sure to sign up on our website for your e-updates. And you can see it says Career Connectors e-updates, subscribe here. Click on that. And so you're getting our emails on Monday mornings. If for some reason you're not getting our emails, let us know. But every Monday morning, we are announcing the events for the week and who's coming and who's speaking in the hiring companies. So on our website, you can see there are 3 boxes here. There's a career chat. I'm doing a couple times a week. I'm doing a 3 to 5 minute video, something current. We've had a lot on unemployment, or I'll do a recap of a speaker or some job tips. So that comes out a couple times a week. We have these community updates. And so on the community updates, I'm doing an interview with different panelists. We've done the Resume Writers Council of Arizona. So there's a really good one in there to hear on really good resume guidance. I did one last week with James Madison, and we talked about a profile, a portfolio basically that you can put together, a networking tool that you can utilize. So that's a really good one. We have a director of DES, we have Goodwill, lots of good stuff in those community updates. And then the CC webinars tab, that is where you're going to see this webinar posted at a later date. All right, we have so many volunteers, you guys. We're so thankful for all of you that serve. Thank you very much. Michelle's recapping for us today. Julia's doing the Zoom support, and she does many other things for us as well. We have the Resume Writers Council of Arizona that does all the resume reviews. They're professionals and they know what they're talking about. They can help you get through that applicant tracking system that Jackie talked about today. And then tons of other virtual coaches as well. All right, so now I want to go real quickly through, I had mentioned the Chandler virtual hiring event that's happening, and Sheila's going to pull up that flyer because we didn't have it incorporated into our PowerPoint, but we have 15 companies that are hiring, and we're going to host this event. It's a really cool event. It's going to be on June 23rd, and it might take Sheila just a minute to get it up, but it's going to be on June 23rd. There we go. The June 23rd is the kickoff event. So Mayor Harkey will be kicking this event off, and all of these companies, these 14 companies, are basically each going to do a TED Talk, a 5-minute, here's who we are, here's the jobs we're hiring for, here's what we're looking for, and here's how to apply. So they'll do an hour or so of each of them talking. And then we will be, you will be sent into virtual rooms with whichever companies you want to talk to. So let's say, for example, Dignity's on the line today and they're one of the companies. Dignity will be hosting its own room, and you will be able to go into that room and talk directly with Dignity through the chat, through through your voice based virtually, but they will be there available to talk to you. So you can see on this flyer, there's a lot of great companies that will be at that event. And then at the bottom, you can see the agenda that we have for that day. So it'll go until 1, but basically you want to be there at the kickoff at 10. So you hear the perspective of all the companies. And then if you want to go into various rooms and talk to different companies, we'll be able to help you do that. Then ongoing for the next 2 weeks, it's a interview matching session. So basically you'll register. You register at chandler.pipelineaz.com. You register, you'll upload your resume, fill out some information, and then you'll get the information for the June 23rd event, but you will also be able to be connected and matched to some of the jobs that are posted. So really exciting event. We're super, super excited about it. So join us there. I'm just going to jump over the chat and see if there was any questions. All right. Okay. That's all we have for today. Thank you all for joining us. Just want you to know that me, my team, our volunteers, we are all praying for you guys that you land into the career of your dreams. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Jessica.